What's up everyone, welcome back. In today's video we'll be traveling to the Bay Area. This was kind of a last minute change of plans, and we had initially planned to go to San Diego for a variety of birds like glaucous gull, Nelson sparrow, and Bendire's thrasher, but abruptly changed plans when we heard about a very special goose around the Bay Area. Omar had never been to this part of California, and it's one of the coolest areas in the state, so we decided this was a perfect excuse to head up for the weekend. Because of the last minute change of plans, we got a pretty late start on our way to the Bay from LA, but it was worth it for a shot at a really awesome bird. The hotel was a quick 20 minutes away from the goose, and on our way we saw a ring-necked pheasant, an introduced species but a stater for all of us. We started scanning, and while we didn't find our target right away, we had cool birds to keep us occupied like this northern harrier. This is an adult male bird, and birders often call them gray ghosts when they're in this plumage. Wild goose chase pays off.
Got it. In the bag. Got it. Nailed it.
We got it. Our trip to the Bay paid off with greater white-fronted goose. Just kidding. While white-fronted geese are certainly cool, the real reason for our trip was this gorgeous emperor goose. This is a species that only breeds along the Bering Sea and very rarely travels south of Siberia or Alaska. This is a California review species and was a lifer for the entire crew. Between its rareness, beauty, and the fact that it was a lifer for all of us, we were thrilled to spend the morning looking at this bird.
Lifer alert. Let's go.
I think maybe behind that, those cows, all those rocks.
That's way too close. That's definitely too close. I can guarantee that.
Emperor Goose, the lord of all geese.
We headed to Lake Merritt in downtown Oakland to look through some ducks. There were quite a few bufflehead around, which I was excited about since this is one of my favorite duck species in the entire United States. This video doesn't really show it, but males often exhibit bright colors throughout the head that almost look like a rainbow. This double-crested cormorant showed us its namesake double crests. While looking for the rare duck, we had to work through quite a few greater and lesser scaup. Greater scaup and lesser scaup are really similar species, best told apart by their head shape. Greater scaup have very round heads with steep foreheads toward the bill, whereas lesser scaup, like you see in this video, have a peak around the back of the crown. Other things to look for are the jowls, the tip of the bill, and often most reliably, the color of the primaries. We were sad to see that this American white pelican was injured, but made sure to call the closest wildlife rescue. If you ever encounter an injured animal, please be sure to contact your local wildlife rescue. Even though I said bufflehead was one of my favorite ducks in the United States, common goldeneye is also up there. This is why it's impossible to pick favorite birds. Some ducks feed by dabbling, while other types dive. Dabbling ducks include American widgeon and mallard, among other species, while divers can include the greater scaup or female-type common goldeneye you see here. Finally, after another hour and a half of scanning through the scaup and other ducks, we found our target, this tufted duck. Tufted duck is a primarily Eurasian species that occasionally shows up in the United States. This individual is best differentiated from the surrounding scaup based on the small tuft behind its head and the lack of much white at the base of its bill. After successfully chasing tufted duck and emperor goose, we headed to the southwest side of the San Francisco Bay. This is us crossing the Dumbarton Bridge. Once we got to the bay, we decided to do some birding around the Palo Alto Baylands. This boardwalk was a fun area to look around. American avocets are really pretty shorebirds in the family Recurvorostridae. They're named that because of the shape of their bill, which has a slight upturn that's used for feeding. Anna's hummingbird may be common, but they're awesome for several reasons. They have a really cool, scratchy, bike chain-like song. They're the most northern extending hummingbird species in the entire world, and they have a gorgeous gorget that extends onto their crown. Willet is another very common shorebird to see around baylands or beaches, but it's cool to see them swimming through water. Forster's tern are one of the smaller terns you'll encounter in California, and they have a pretty diagnostic mask that does not extend onto the nape when they're in winter plumage. Speaking of winter plumage, long-billed and short-billed dowitchers are almost identical during the winter season, but we were able to tell these as long-bills due to their calls. At one point, thousands of shorebirds flushed, and we figured a falcon must have been nearby. Sure enough, this merlin zoomed over moments after we saw the birds get up and fly. I throw around favorite bird pretty often, but of the common U.S. shorebirds, long-billed curlew are definitely up there for my favorite. They have these awesome long bills and these gorgeous buffy tones, making them a bird that's hard not to love. The next spot we checked was full of rails like Sora and Ridgeways, and also had a slough that had several gull species and lots of ducks, including one special target duck. Short-billed gull, which was formerly known as mew gull, a much superior name, is a species that we sometimes see in Los Angeles in fairly small numbers along the beach, but as you move north they become much more common. Seeing a big group of 50 or so birds foraging together like this was a cool sight that we don't get to see too often in Los Angeles. This Barrow's goldeneye was a state bird for me in California. These are told from common goldeneye by the maned, steep forehead look and the crescent shape at the base of their bill. Seeing rails is notoriously difficult, so we were all really excited to get prolonged and nice views of this Ridgway's rail. Say that 10 times fast. This species is really cool because there are several different and somewhat distinct populations across California, but this individual is of the San Francisco Bay subspecies. To start our next day, we headed to the coast to look for Morris, a celebrity northern gannet that's found in this area at Pillar Point Harbor. We weren't able to find him at first, but we did get to see this cool common loon. After a little more scanning, it was evident Morris wasn't around, so we decided it was time to head inland to explore a new area. We headed up to the temperate rainforest and looked for a new composition of birds and wildlife. Russell's going to take it from here to talk some about the different species we saw and the area we explored.
Hey, this is Russell. I wanted to chat about this portion of our trip because these Pacific rainforests were my first experiences in nature, so they hold a real soft spot in my heart, and I would love to chat about the amazing biodiversity that you can find. In addition to really cool birds that are sort of localized to these Pacific rainforests, like this chestnut-backed chickadee, there's a ton of other life that exists in these rainforests. So in addition to looking for birds, we're also looking for salamanders, and we're looking for other amphibians too. You can see me flipping a log here, and there's this really cool flip clip that we have here in a second.
Looking for Sally's.
Oh wait, what's that?
Oh, what a beauty!
Amphibians and salamanders in particular require moist environments, so that's why these areas contain so much abundance and diversity. Here, I'm flipping over a log to reveal a California newt, very abundant in their range, and actually really toxic. Nothing going to harm you, unless you're a predator, of course. Here, we're flipping over a log to see a California slender salamander. Slender salamanders are in a group known as lungless salamanders. They have no lungs. A lot of other amphibians can actually have respiration internally, but these are long and slender and respirate primarily through their skin. So the moisture is actually helping facilitate oxygen exchange into the body of the salamander. Here, Joden is flipping a log to get this. There's an awesome ensatina hidden in there that he'll pick up in a second. But pretty much what you're looking for when you're looking for salamanders are these moist, sort of soggy, muddy environments, particularly in areas that have a lot of cover nearby. And also areas where they might have a body of water. So in our case, we were near a reservoir. If you're near a river or a creek, a lot of these species might have aquatic larval forms, so they will exist underwater with gills and then eventually become adults and become terrestrial and walk around on land. While the salamander diversity is really amazing here, there are some truly stunning birds, like this varied thrush, an absolutely beautiful combination of orange and slaty blue-gray, a perfect example of the beauty that you get in these environments in the West Coast. Another one that's amazing is the pileated woodpecker, pretty common throughout a lot of the United States, especially in the East, and we're lucky that they actually shoot down through this connected rainforest down the West Coast into California. One final note when you're looking for salamanders or anything that might hide under logs or planks of wood, you want to put the object back the exact same way that you found it, and additionally you want to put the animal on the outside of it and let it crawl back in to avoid squishing it.
Thanks so much to Omar, Otto, and Russell for joining on this trip, and to Russell for the great information on salamanders and birds of the temperate rainforest. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.